This is a Willets Point Shea Stadium bound 7 express train. The next and last stop is Willets Point, Shea Stadium.
Oh, yes, it is Anthony Rivera here with you, talking about all the news and happenings surrounding that team from Queens, the New York Mets. It's a Subway to Shea series preview, and I got my main man in the house, Eddie Presti. You know him alongside me and my infamous take, Al Cintrone, on Mets Evening Brew Thursday nights. You can check that out on the morning Brew Sports Network. Eddie, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Anthony, bro. A little disappointed over the weekend. We lost 2 or 3. But I'm hoping this week things go better for the Mets. To be honest, I'll take a split. I'd like to go 3-1, but the way they're playing right now, I don't know. I'm not sure.
You know what? When we started that West Coast trip, I said 3-3, right? And right off the bat, they take 2 out of 3 from Dodgers, and I guess I got a little selfish. I was, you know what? Let's go for 4-2. Let's get the 4 games and come back. And it didn't happen. And then what happened, which we're gonna get into right now with St. Louis, man, it was a rough weekend. It ended on a bright note. There's still a game over 500 at 14-13, but it was a rough weekend. So let's get right into it. The Mets lose their second straight series, losing to the Cardinals. Game 1, Jose Quintana. He struggled early, gave up 4 runs, but he kind of battled through the game, and that was something that I wanted to see from him. He did that, and it was nice to see. JD Martinez, we finally got to see in the flesh, 2 for 4, had an RBI. You look at Tomas Nido making the most of his opportunity on Friday, 2 for 3, a home run and an RBI. Game 2, I was at that game, the City Connect game. Adrian Hauser got rocked again, 4 1/3 innings pitched, 9 hits, 6 earned runs. Very disappointing. The only bright spot, Pete Alonso making history with his 200th career home run. Then you go to Sunday's game. Jose Quintana bounced back with probably his best game as a Met. 8 innings pitched. Eddie, 8 innings we've got from the starting pitchers, man.
Huge. That was a huge game. And just the way he left the mound, props to Quintana. They were about to take him out of the game, and then they stopped. And he came out and he finished that 8th inning, and I was highly impressed with that.
It was great to see, and the fact we'll get into it too, because the way that Carlos Mendoza managed that game yesterday got a lot of high praise, and well deserved for him as well. A different type of managing we're seeing this year, and it's good to see. He only gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, only struck out 3, but we've come to see Jose Quintana be that consistent pitcher in the lineup outside of that game against the Giants, where he was a little bit all over the place. He's been, very reliable. And then you look at the rest of that game. Reed Garrett delivers in extra innings and strikes out a couple more batters, wins the game. His MLB tying, I can't believe this, for a reliever, 5th game. Tyler Glasnow and him are tied for the lead in wins. There's a couple other guys that I don't remember off the top of my head, but Tyler Glasnow was one of them.
Bader had that big hit.
Yeah, Bader. Harrison Bader had the big game-tying hit with, I think, 2 strikes on him. And 2 outs. So that happened, and then all capped off with the Mark Vientos emotional game-winning home run in the 10th. And, Eddie, let me ask you this, man. I don't know about you, but as soon as I saw the celebration, all I could think of was, and it may not turn out to be the same, but 2015 Wilmer Flores home run. I got the same kind of vibes from that.
Wow. I don't have those kind of vibes. No. It's a big hit, but that was in so much more of a bigger spot. I mean, after he hit that home run, it was say goodnight to the Nationals. That it was over. They lost the division. Back then. This was a little bit less for me. It's a game winner, but that Wilmer Flores thing, I think that set the tone of us taking over for them. That if we did that against the Braves in August and we took over them as the division leader, then I would give you that. But right there, I can't say it's that big of a home run. Big for Vientos, but overall scheme of things, I don't think so.
Yeah, there's still a lot for the season. I was thinking just more in terms of like what Vientos has been through throughout spring training into now, where he thought he was going to have the job. JD Martinez comes in. JD Martinez gets hurt. They don't bring him up. So, like, I really thought, maybe there's a little bit of a spark there. I don't know if it translates to them winning games, because obviously what happened with Wilmer Flores set the tone for the team just taking over the division for the rest of the season. But it was just nice to see him kind of like, he just yelled out a screen. It just was a great moment for him, man, just to see him get off the snide there.
No, 100%, man. You love seeing a guy that, everybody wrote off at one point, myself included. I still kind of write him off if I'm going to keep it a buck. But just to hit that type of home run and going to the opposite field too. I was impressed with the fact that he went right center on that longest part of the ballpark. And, you could feel the emotion. You could feel, the trials and tribulations of a guy that was supposed to have a job here. And the Mets said, we don't think you're good enough. And he said, you know what? Well, I'm going to show you in my little opportunity. And he did. So props to Vientos right there for his moment. That's a moment for him. And good for him, man, because you know what? He's a guy that's, been through a lot of stuff, here in the major leagues. So I'm proud to see him, get that moment for himself.
Yeah, prop to Vientos, prop to the 40 people that are in with us live right now. Shout out to Maureen, who's in here. Shout out to Lane Kerner, who's in here. Junior Swingman as well. Carlos Ortiz up in the house. Our guy, Jigaman Porto's in here.
Oh, my goodness.
Not a Met fan,
hospital.
but all love for us.
Right now. Where's to your son, Jigga?
Hope all's well. Yep. Patty, shout out to Patty as well in here. Douglas Barnes, going through everybody that's in. Carlos Ramos, what's up, my friend? Good seeing you as well. And yeah, man, this you mentioned it too. Before the whole thing with Vientos, that Harrison Bader hit, who's quietly becoming a really good Met right now. It's early, but he's had a good April, and it's nice to see him kind of take off, because we know there's an injury history there, and obviously no one likes people who come from the Yankees, but the Yankees that we have gotten this season, whether it's him or Luis Severino, even Cal Mendy in there as well, looks like we got a good group right there.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I don't care if they're from the Yankees. I don't care if they're from Mars. If you perform, you perform. I don't care. But Bader, I like his approach. I'm getting more impressed with his fielding the more and more I watch with him. I think he's a little bit more comfortable in center. He's got a nice arm, and just the way he hits the ball. I like his hitting when he makes contact. He hits line drives. He puts the ball in play, and when you put the ball in play, anything can happen, Anthony.
Yeah, and same thing goes for what we've seen from Vientos over the last couple of days. He's put some good contact on the ball, had a nice hit on Saturday to kind of get a little bit of a rally that kind of ended with Lindor, popping up on a first pitch to end the game. But he's gotten some good contact on some of these balls that he's hitting, and especially with that home run with 2 strikes. Same thing. Crazy that, Bader had 2 strikes on him, 2 outs. Vientos, I think it was 0-2 for Vientos, and then he, hits that game winner and takes it out of the park. Danny Matos says, I just hope Beatty doesn't become a bum. I love Beatty, and I'm hoping he becomes the next big-time third baseman. I don't know if he's going to become the next big-time third baseman like that. Like David Wright, no. All right, like Howard Johnson, no. If he could become a serviceable one, that'd be good enough for what he provides. I think we comped Alex Bohm as a possible guy that he can be like, but I don't know what happens with Brett Beatty right now. I don't think he gets sent down. I don't know if Vientos gets sent down once Marte comes back, but
how long is Marte going to be gone for? I know he's had another horrible death in the family. Poor guy.
Yeah. So what I heard was bereavement is about 3 days, and then they can come back. So I don't know if maybe he'll need more time, and they keep the guys up there and say, you know what, take what time you need, and then come back afterwards. But
he's terrible out there, by the way, in that one game.
Which one?
Who was out there in that one game? I think it was on Saturday. I think it was DJ Stewart.
DJ Stewart, yeah.
He looked the route he took on those balls. Oh my goodness, man! He's the DH for a reason.
Yeah, I either DH or try to give him a glove at first base so he can beat Alonso every so often. But
do you remember that triple?
Yeah,
right. That was bad. That should have been a double.
Yeah, we know that Marte struggles with his range right now because of the whole injury to his groin, but even him at 70% is better than DJ Stewart in right field. I don't know why. Like, they've preached so much about run prevention. At this point, why not just have Bader in center and Tyrone Taylor on the right, and nothing gets past those two guys? Especially with a guy like Adrian Hauser, who like pitches to contact and just got lit up. Like, have the best version of your outfield out there. And
another thing about Taylor, he's deserved more playing time. If anything, he's shown when he's playing, he's a good player. I mean, that's one of their best offseason pickups. Low key moves.
No. And you know what? It's crazy because I guess the really spiced up part of the deal was supposed to be Adrian Hauser, and it's really Tyrone Taylor.
Yeah. It's time to have a conversation about Adrian Hauser, Anthony.
No, I totally agree. I had on Laura Albanese from Newsday, and we're talking about, like, what do you do with Adrian Hauser? Is it time to bring up Christian Scott? I know Mendy says they're going to go another route with him, but how much are you going to give? Like, leeway are you giving right now? Right? Like, is it a couple more starts? Like, he's getting into Steve Traxel territory where you have to send the guy down and see if he can fix things and come back up again, because it's just not working. And maybe it's not Christian Scott who comes up. Maybe it's Joey Lucchesi who comes up, or someone. But
which is fine.
Yeah. Adrian Hauser cannot be giving you just absolute clunker after clunker. And I said to myself, I think we even said this on the show on Thursday, like, is he just bad? Or has he hit into bad luck because he's faced two of the best lineups in baseball, in the Dodgers and the Braves? But against St. Louis, you getting lit up in the first inning like that. Can't be doing that. Can't be putting these guys out like that so early that they have to come back every time.
No, and, this has been how many starts now where he's just been god-awful, whether he's walking the ballpark or, like you say, he pitches the contact, but he's pitching the hard outs and stuff. It's not like he's been, I mean, I guess in the first, I think he had one good start, but even then he's walked a lot of people. But I don't know how many more opportunities we're going to give this guy to get it right, because he doesn't look like he's a major league pitcher right now. I'm sorry, he doesn't.
No, and as not as great as this starting pitching rotation has been, they haven't been terrible. Like, we've gotten good starts from Sean Manaea. We've gotten, obviously, Luis Severino has been the best one so far. Quintana, obviously, we know what we're getting from him. He's consistent and reliable every outing, except for that one against the Giants. Every so often he'll have one of those, but for the most part, he's keeping you in the game. 2-3 runs, that's it. Yeah, solid rotation piece. Probably not ace material, but definitely 2-3. Putting him in there. And who am I forgetting? Oh, and Jose Butto. Like, I know that's the thing. You look at Jose Butto, he gave up those 4 runs early, and then I think he got 12 straight out of the gate. And he seemed to have regained, his confidence as the game went on. You're not getting that from Adrian Hauser at all.
No, we're not. This is a guy that's getting lit up. He's walking the ballpark. I mean, again, I don't know how much longer you could do this one. We have some depth down in the minor leagues. Clearly we do. I'm fine with bringing up Lucchesi. I know Lucchesi's not, some world beater, but he's, again, a guy that could give you quality innings. He's a left-handed pitcher. I mean, again, you can't keep running a guy out there that walks the ballpark and is giving up 6 runs like it's nothing. You can't do that, because this offense, I mean, that game on Saturday, we came back, but it's not enough. And when you go down 4 runs, the offense has a hard time right now coming back from those type of deficits. Right now, we have a hard time. Maybe as the season goes on, we could, we'll get a little bit better, score some more runs. But, I can't have that, though. You can't have given up 6 earned runs. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, and putting him in such a hole like that. And I've been I come as patient as possible with this roster, but like Douglas Barnes might be right here. If he drops another deuce against the Cubs this outing, like he has, maybe that is it. Maybe he has to go to the bullpen first. If it still continues, maybe you figure out a way to send him down. But
did guys go down anymore though? I mean, I know a lot of guys, like established guys, refuse to go. Is there like options with him where he actually can go down?
I'm going to have to check in on that. Like, I don't have I don't want to give false information on if he can or if he cannot. The hoping is he can. Like, look at a guy like Steve Traxler. I bring him back up again. Remember in 2001, I think he started off like 1-9, and then they sent him down, brought him back up, and he was just like a new pitcher. I think he like went like 8-2 after that. Like he had a really solid comeback.
He was on the team till like 06, wasn't he? Pitching in 06. I mean, he got like 4 or 5 good years after that, man. That was like a life-changing experience for Traxler from what I remember.
Yeah, Danny Matos says, call up Scott. Lane Kerner says, ask if you do bring up Scott in May. I think if this continues, there is a question to bring up Christian Scott, especially if he's pitching as well as he has. But you like Laura Albany said with me last week on the podcast, you want Christian Scott to be as confident as possible coming up here. And if that takes a little while longer, which I think it will, I think we may see him maybe June after the All-Star break.
Oh, really?
I think so. Because, like, look at what Maureen's saying. Peterson and McGill have started their rehab starts. Senga's coming back. So I think they're going to hold off on Christian Scott as much as possible. And, with Peterson getting a start this past weekend and McGill, I think that may be the run.
Do you think they're waiting for, the arbitration stuff so they get that extra year out of Scott? Do you think that's in Stearns' head and, Mendy's head? Do you think they're looking at it that way?
I would have said that if this was the previous regime. I don't think these guys work this way. I think they're trying to put the best possible group out there. Look at how quickly they got rid of Tonkin, brought him back, got rid of him, and some of these other players as well. They didn't waste any time getting rid of some of these guys and bringing them up. So I don't know if that really bothers them as much. I think the fact that Peterson's in the background, McGill's in the background, Senga's getting ready to come back. I think he's starting to throw today to live batting, which is good to see. And then you also have Joey Lucchesi. So you don't have to rush. Like we had to rush Peterson up here a couple of years ago because we didn't have depth. Same thing with McGill. We had no depth. And now the fact that we have this depth, you don't have to rush the guys. As much as I want to see them, I don't think it's necessary at this point in time. Let this kid keep, taking off in AAA and cooking in AAA, and maybe then it'll become time. At least, we'll definitely see him this season. I just don't think it'll be until maybe after the All-Star break, because we have to remember too is those guys are going to be on innings limits. Right? The Christian Scotts, the Dom Hamels, those guys will definitely be on some time. Mike Vassell, as Lane Kerner brings up in the conversation, those guys are definitely going to be in innings limits. That's for sure.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you could go the whole month of May and we could kind of piece this rotation together and you have a confident Scott coming up in, June or, mid-June, something like that, because I'm worried about the June swoon, of course, because I have PTSD as a Met fan.
We go through it every year, of course.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping, you bring him up. Maybe he's down in AAA. He's throwing lights out. And maybe, mid-June, you bring him up here and he's as confident as ever and he's ready to go. And he just slides right into that rotation. And maybe he becomes a big piece for us. I'd love to see that, man, because, again, I'm scared of the June swoon. I fully admit that, full transparency.
No, it's something that I feel like it's decades long. June swoon, like except for maybe 2006 was like the only time we didn't hit a June swoon. But even in that 99 team, I think they had lost 9 in a row.
They fired everybody.
June, fired everybody except for Bobby Valentine, and then took off and were off to the races after that.
46-15 to end that season. Something crazy
stuff. Shout out to everyone that's in the chat. Especially I want to shout out to some of the content creators in here. CP from CP Medicine, Knicks. It's great to have you in here. We also got Shea and Sons, like the Blazer, man. They're loving the Blazer right now.
My guys, Keith and Key.
Yeah, Keith and Key do great things. They had a great, I don't know if you saw their video
Yes,
of
I
the
saw. I
post game.
saw.
Priceless, man.
Yeah,
That was such, I'm
that's
glad
good
that you guys
timing.
do great timing. I'm glad that you guys got to enjoy that. I know we talked about meeting up at the game, and I was like, oh, I'm going Saturday for City Connect. I'm glad that you guys got to enjoy a Mets victory, as I had to sit there and watch it and take the lumps of an Adrian Hauser start.
Oh,
But shout out to you guys, Keith and Key, and make sure, after this show's over around 4:30 ish, go to their page, because I think they're doing a recap and all,
okay.
and previewing this series as well. So go on Shea and Sons, check them out as well. Also got, who else do we have in here? My guy Matt Ibanez from Till Mets Do Us Part. Make sure you're checking out those guys every Wednesday. Make sure you like this video, guys. Make sure you're subscribing to Subway to Shea, and make sure you're subscribing to Morning Brew Sports Network, because you can catch me and Eddie with Al on the Mets Evening Brew every Thursday night at 9. And also, if you're a Knicks fan, the Knicks Morning Brew, you guys were doing it up, celebrating the Game 4 win over the 76ers. One more to go with the Rangers now as well, who are taking over Madison Square Garden. So it's actually Sunday was a nice day for New York sports. Whether you're Mets, Yankees, Rangers, Knicks, I mean, it all worked out.
Every team won. Yeah, man. It doesn't get much better than that, especially with the playoffs and stuff like that. And the way the Mets came back on Sunday, man, I thought, that was going on during the Knicks game. I'm going back and forth. And I'm thinking to myself, they're done when they were down like 4-2 at one point, whatever it was. I'm like, oh, they're finished. And then sure enough, Bader comes through in that ninth inning. And I'm like, I was very, very happy that they actually got one from the Cardinals, because it looked like at one point, it was going to be a sweep.
When this guy gives you 8 innings, Jose Quintana, that the only thing I'm thinking is, do not lose this game. Like, when are we ever going to get 8 innings from a starting pitcher? I don't think we had one all of last year. I don't even know if we had an 8-inning game in 2022 when they were really good. Like, I don't think Scherzer or DeGrom went 8 innings. I think it was all 6, 7, and then to the bullpen.
Bassett might have won 8.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but if I had to pick out of those 3, I think it might have been Bassett.
He might have, and then and then everyone hated him after the final 2 starts. But to get this from Quintana, man, that was definitely a cherry on top. Getting the win, that was important. And now we can move to our series coming up against the Chicago Cubs, a 4-game set. I think they're actually playing, is it 7 in a row coming up now? Because they go to Tampa for a 3-game set. So let's check out the pitching probables here. We got Luis Severino going in game 1 against Jameson Taillon. You got Sean Manaea game 2 against Javier Assad. Jose Budo game 3, Shota Imanaga, who I wanted to be a Met. And you look at his stats right now, 4-0 with a 9.98 ERA. That'd be nice to have on this team. I don't know, probably wouldn't be as good if he was on the Mets, just because of Mets stuff. But that was someone I was definitely looking into, especially if we didn't get Yamamoto. And he seems to be better right now than Yamamoto. And then Adrian Hauser closes out the series with his 8.37 ERA against Ben Brown, who I think was traded from the Phillies when the Phillies wanted David Robertson. That was the guy that got traded for him in that 2022 season, when we all wanted David Robertson to be on this team and got Michael Givens instead. Which of these matchups are you looking forward to the most, Eddie?
Wow, man. This is the first 3. Those are going to be tough games. The game 4 to me looks like the one that we could probably get the win out of. But these first 3 matchups, Taillon, Assad, Imanaga, oh man, these are going to be tough, man. They're going to be tough. Tonight, I think you got to go tonight in game 4. You got to hope for that, and then games 2 or 3, you got to hope maybe they could take one there too. But again, like I said to you, I think it was before the show, I'll take a 2-2 split with this lineup going on right now, Anthony.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm always concerned when the Mets face pitchers they haven't seen before. Now, usually before the show starts, I'll go in, do a little research, and see what the best pitching matchups are, what our batters and players to watch are. There are not too many. The Mets haven't seen most of these pitchers outside of Jameson Taillon, who they don't have any good history against. They haven't seen Javier Assad. They definitely haven't seen Shota Imanaga yet, and Ben Brown either. So, like, there's only so much to go off to. But the one game that concerns me would be Shota Imanaga, especially with the way he's pitching now. The Mets have a hard time hitting lefties, and he's just doing so well. So that's the one that concerns me. I think I'd like to see Luis Severino set the tone tonight against Jameson Taillon. So I'm going to go with that as the matchup of the series for me. And hopefully he can. He's pitched well this season, and I hope that he can carry that over into this series as well. But like I said, there are some matchups, it was hard for me to pick some, but I look into JD Martinez here. He has a 222 batting average, but he has the most at bats against the Jameson Taillon. He has a home run and an RBI. Wondering if he's a guy that can maybe pick up some steam here, maybe hit his first home run of his Mets career, but of the season for sure. Other matchups, and it's all against Adrian Hauser, so he's going to have to be concerned as well. You got Ian Happ, who hits very well against him, 20 at bats, 364 batting average, 4 RBIs, and that OPS there, 1.108. That's a concern. Obviously, Chris Morel, less amount of at bats, but he's got 4 RBIs against him. So, and he's seen him from pitching in for the Milwaukee Brewers. So, definitely things that I'm concerned about. But players to watch on the Mets end, and this has nothing to do with any of the pitchers that they're up against, but obviously Mark Vientos, right? Off to a hot start so far, 3 for 4, a home run, 2 RBIs. He's got off to a hot start, as well as, Pete Alonso over the last 15 games, batting .273, but he's got 5 home runs, 8 RBIs, when we'll be looking, and I assume that he'll get his 201st home run in this series. Any player in particular you want to see from the Mets that you want to see take off here?
I'd like to see Vientos against Imanaga. Obviously the lefty on righty matchup there. Again, we haven't seen the guy. I understand that, but maybe, with Vientos being a little hot right now, that could carry over into the third game. I don't know, but I agree with you with tonight. I think if Severino could set the tone, maybe get out, get a good, 5-6 innings pitched, we score some runs for him early, maybe we could set the tone for that series. But, I think you put up JD Martinez. Maybe this could be his coming out party. Maybe he could, go up there. Maybe he could get his first home run as a Met, like you said. Get a couple doubles. Also, Lindor ended the weekend hot. He had a double the other day against, I forget who it was, but he went opposite field, and then he had that home run he hit, and that was a straight fastball. And he crushed that thing. Another oppo home run. So I'm thinking maybe Lindor could start getting hot right now.
Yeah, I desperately want to see Lindor be consistent, man. Saturday was so frustrating. You're chanting your lungs out there. I lost my voice yesterday, so I usually I do these shows at 9:00 at night on Sundays, but I had no voice because I was chanting so hard for this team to get over the hump here and just do one of those epic comebacks. And when he popped up on the first pitch and they got the bases loaded to end the game, man, I was so frustrated. I even put I'm maybe a little bit, I'm losing my patience. I got attacked on that on Twitter for putting that up there, that I was losing a little bit of patience with Lindor, but he's not the only one that's been struggling. I mean, look at Brandon Nimmo. He deserves just as much. I know he's got the RBIs, but man, he's having a rough start to the season. Definitely not leadoff worthy, that's for sure.
It's so crazy how polarizing Lindor is as a player. I mean, if you want clickbait every single time, all you got to do is just bash Lindor, and you'll get 1 million clicks. It's crazy how polarizing he is to this fan base. And I understand it's the money. I understand there's racial factors to it. I get it. But until he's consistent, he's not going to shut everybody up. And that's the only way he's going to shut people up, is just by being consistent. But there is things I like to see when I watch him. If he's hitting breaking balls and stuff like that, that to me shows me, listen, he's going to come around. And he does. He does every single time it hits June. He comes around.
Of course.
But it's just the starts with him. And the way he starts, it's like, what the, is going on? And you brought up Nimmo. He deserves, he deserves to be held accountable too. Again, I say this all the time. These guys they're good, but not great. I'm not saying Nimmo's in the same category as Lindor, but they're just maybe now with JD Martinez. Maybe now some pressure could be taken off of these guys. Maybe finally, with JD in this lineup every day, maybe when we get Marte back, maybe we could finally put a finished product. I know Alvarez is out. I get that. But it's going to be as close to whole as we're going to be for the next 2 months. And maybe maybe Martinez can help finally bring some consistency to not only Nimmo, but to Lindor and even these other guys as well. Maybe this all finally comes together. I don't know. I'm not saying it will happen, but maybe it can happen.
Yeah, and you look at Martinez at bats, everything is like just a professional, old school at bat from him. He knows the holes, he knows where to hit them, he hits them hard, and he gets on base. And I feel like that's something that's been missing from this team in a long time, because you got a bunch of guys that come up there, they'll swing at the first pitch. I know it works for some, it doesn't work for others, but I feel like you have to read the room, you have to read the situation. Bases are loaded, you're working a pitcher. Man, like DJ Stewart grounding into a double play on a first, they just worked at bats, man. And you're going to you're swinging first pitch. The same thing with Lindor. And I'm going to also give Lindor his props. He never takes what he does on offense onto the field. The dude is immaculate on defense. That's prop worthy for him. He does such a great job, manning the field and being that leader in the infield. And I definitely got to give him his props for that, man. All I said yesterday was, I'm just losing a little bit of patience. That's all I said.
I know. I get it. It's so good. It's so good. I lose patience too. I lose patience with this whole team at times. There was a point over the weekend where I'm like, this fucking team sucks. And I'm going off. I'm like, you can't lose. You're about to lose all 3 to the Cardinals. So, and every time I'm close to going over the edge, I was over the edge almost at the first 5 games of the season. They didn't win that game 5. I was about to, it was game 6. They didn't win that game. I was about to go off. But every time I'm about to go over the edge, I stop because they make me stop. So,
well, and they also have now that calming presence that is Carlos Mendoza, who is, I don't know, every time I don't know, he just pumps me up, man. He gets me hyped. I don't know if you saw the video yesterday of him greeting Vientos after the home run, but there's just a different presence with him as the manager right now. And I liked Buck Showalter. I didn't need to see him go. Understood that he had to, because obviously new regime, new manager needed to be done. But man, Carlos Mendoza is just even from spring training when he came in here, and just his calming voice, professionalism, everything has just been what I liked. Even in the fact that he was able to get this team focused even after starting off 0-5, I think, and turn this around to the fact that we're now, even though we're just a game over 500, the fact that we're over 500 is astounding to me. Facing the Dodgers and facing the Braves, I mean, nothing was easy. Even the Pirates, nothing came easy.
Look, when it comes to the manager, I'm not like one of these guys that thinks really they're that much of a difference. I know when you talk to fans, they always blame the coach or the manager. Again, the manager gets his lineup and his matchups. Everything is from, all the analytics and all this. And that's what they're going by. They're not going off of gut anymore. They're not doing that old school bullshit with all right, let's go, give them another. That doesn't happen anymore. So to me, a manager now just has to be a leader. And, the way you carry yourself and the way you react is everything. And that's everything in a manager. And so far, what Mendoza has brought that to this team. He's brought sort of that quiet confidence. He's locked in, definitely. again, I wasn't like with Buck. I didn't really care. I think he got very lucky in 2022. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but I think he got lucky with that team. And then that team kind of showed you who they were at the end of that year. Maybe this year will be different. I don't know. But again, I'm just not a person that believes the managers really do so much except for leadership. But leadership is important, Anthony. It is important.
Yeah, I tend to disagree with the whole Buck situation only because he has had a track record of starting out hot. Now, where I probably agree with you for sure is I don't know if Buck ever knew how to handle adversity. Definitely didn't handle it correctly at the end of the season. And I feel like the players mentally weren't prepared for what happened. Definitely weren't prepared for last year to the point where they all looked out of the loop at the trade deadline. Like Lindor was out of it. Nimmo, they all look like, oh my goodness, I can't believe we're just trading everybody and giving this up right now. And like Buck was just riding it out, it felt like.
Right. Well, when you go back to last year's trade deadline, I mean, that was kind of a shock. When we saw Robertson get traded and he was the first domino to fall, that was a big shock to me. I thought they were maybe going to add, if anything, because we still had Verlander. Obviously, Scherzer was pretty much washed by then. The fact that we got anything for Scherzer was a miracle in itself. I know we had to pay a lot of money to get Acuna, but we got him. With that said, I think you're right. Buck was shocked, and he kind of just went with the flow, and maybe ultimately that was his undoing.
Yeah.
So it's a new season now. Mendy's here, and Mendy's done well. So far in the small sample size, listen, we're a game over 500. We're going to have to keep treading water. Again, let's hope we don't have a June swoon, because we have one. I'm going to lose it. But again, the schedule doesn't get any easier. And if you look at the schedule, it's not an easy schedule from now until I think until the trade deadline. There's no easy parts of the schedule.
No, not whatsoever. It never comes easy for the Mets. Even against like teams like the Marlins, I wouldn't be shocked that they give them trouble. Obviously, the Nationals always give them trouble. But hopefully the Mets can ride the wave, and I'm pretty sure Mendy is the guy to be in charge of that for sure. Let's get into some of these comments. My guy Carlos Ramos saying about this series, it's like facing 4 lefties, but we can get 2 W's. He's on board with you. Split this series and see what we can do here. Maybe they need some of the luck, like Maureen says, a la the black cat from the dugout in 1969. Shea parking lot saying Reed Garrett has shined brighter than Eddie's jacket. Get the ball to him, starters. Eddie, when do you start like believing that this Reed Garrett is like 100% for real? I'm still like, we saw something similar like this with Drew Smith in 2022. Obviously, he got hurt. I think he broke his pinky, and that kind of changed things for him. But Reed Garrett was like a journeyman. Like where did this come from? Like, when do you start like fully believing in this?
I don't believe in it right now. I got to see another month of this. I think one more. If we see another month, maybe even if he gets to July doing this, I think I'll be a believer. But right now, what he's doing, you can't say anything bad about it. But like you said, he's some journeyman, and we're kind of waiting for the other shoe to drop in a way. So I guess if he does this for another month, I guess we could all believe, because that's another month of him saying, "Yeah, well, look, I'm doing this." Yeah.
Matt A.B. Ibanez saying Pete has an OPS of 1129 versus Chicago. Let's handle him, Pete. Hey, man, Pete's going to be a big factor. I talked about player to watch there. Pete's one of them. He's got 5 home runs and 8 RBIs in his last 15 games. He hit that monster shot. That was the best part of being there Saturday, was seeing him hit number 200. So happy for him, and happy to see Pete continue this run.
That was an opposite field homer too.
It was. And I always like to see opposite field home runs from, then you really have some power there. We saw so much of that from, Mike Piazza in his time here. And to see that from Pete, especially, in 2022 when he was hitting a lot of oppo home runs, he's had a lot of opposite field doubles. I like to see that consistency from Pete and return back to that form in 2022. Duran Rivera in the chat saying, other than the playoffs in 2015, Cubs have seemed to dominate the Mets, especially at Wrigley Field. Like,
Yes.
I feel like they have our number at Wrigley Field for sure.
Yeah, I agree with that. For whatever reason, we can't play there, except other than you take out those 2015 playoffs. I don't know what it is. It's and you think that would be a ballpark that would cater to this lineup, right? Guys that could hit. We have some power there. You'd think would do better, but over the years, it hasn't been too kind to us. That's for sure. It's like almost going to Atlanta. I don't know if it's that bad, but seems to be pretty bad.
They'd be saying Lindor is coming for Ant's neck after that tweet. I think I helped him hit that home run Sunday.
Yeah.
I'd like to think more positively on that note. And he also says that Lindor is living the Beltran life, which I do agree with. I agree with that the treatment is definitely unfair to him. Because, if I'm going to criticize Lindor, like I said earlier, also Nimmo needs criticism. You can even throw some criticism at Jeff McNeil, who hasn't been his best this season at all, and last year either.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I think that's a great comment by Matt. Those two are very intertwined. That Lindor Beltran comparison, that's great, because Beltran was never the guy that got any credit for anything. Meanwhile, he is like the greatest position player, in my opinion. I think of franchise history. Obviously not. I put Piazza ahead of him. But as far as, center fielders, outfielders, Beltran to me was better than David Wright. And he did everything so quietly. He was such a, great leader, and he was such a run producer when he was here. But, unfortunately, when you're the highest paid player on the Mets, that comes with some sort of, backlog to it. You get pushback, and it just is what it is. And there's probably a lot of, the fact that they're both Puerto Rican in it too. I think that has something to do with it. And he's, not like David Wright, David Wright could do no wrong, which is total bullshit, by the way. But that's a story. That's a combo for another day.
Look, I love David Wright, but Beltran did get done dirty, and the fact that people still think about Game 7, the strikeout, which no one in this chat, neither you or I, probably no really good hitter outside of maybe Tony Gwynn. I'll give it, because he was always on base. No one was touching that curveball. Like
Barry Bonds wasn't touching that curveball.
No, he would have struck out looking as well. So the fact that he gets lumped into that sucks. I don't know if you're on Instagram or not, or if you were able to see, Carlos Beltran was down, I think, with St. Lucie down in Daytona. He was with one of the minor league teams as an instructor. Dude looks as built as I've ever seen him before. Like, he could still probably go out there and rake about 15 home runs. I would assume 15 home runs.
I think so. Listen, I always like Beltran, one of my favorite Mets. Obviously, I was pissed off about that, strikeout in 2006, but that was more about disappointing with the team and stuff. But I'm glad he's back with the organization. I'm glad he's, back. And, I think Mets fans now, have turned the opinions have, it's been a long enough time has passed where I think he's been forgiven as a Met fan. And I think if he gets into the Hall of Fame, I think he's going to go in as a Met.
He should.
He should.
He's go in the Hall of Fame as a Met. He should be in the Mets Hall of Fame. I don't know if he gets his number retired.
He should. He's up there. If you're putting some of these other people, their retired numbers, Beltran, man.
Yeah.
Numbers he did in center field, winning Gold Gloves, making that catch in Houston when they had when you had to roll up
at
when
Taos
you
Hill,
up the hill, and he made that sick grab over his head. One of the best positional players ever, Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, a lot of love for Beltran on this channel, and a lot of love for your blazer, my man. Shea and Sons podcast. I'll be wearing orange on today's live because Eddie Presti looks so good in orange, brings out his eyes. Shea parking lot as well. We are orange for Eddie. And shout out also to Yuki Matsui, who's in here. Always a pleasure having him on. The Morning Brew taking the subway to Shea. And like I said, check us out Thursdays at 9 p.m. for Mets Morning Brew. I don't know if you guys saw last week, but we had on Evan Roberts. That was a fun interview, talking with him, getting his thoughts on the Mets. And also that beard, man. I'm trying to grow a little bit of beard myself, but I don't know if I can let it grow that much.
Oh no, I couldn't do that. The beard, I keep it short because once you start getting food caught in it, it's a wrap. I mean, there's no bigger embarrassment than having like food or like foam or something, or if you're drinking coffee and then it's there and you don't notice it and somebody sees it. So I can't go with the long beards. I can't do it. I'm too much of a neat freak to have that happen.
Yeah, you talk about the beards for food, and then it gets hot out. I may shave this. I may at least trim it down a little bit for sure.
Yeah.
It's for the summertime because it gets too hot with that, and a full loaded head of hair. You need a haircut, all that stuff. Shout out to Jeff Cohen also in the chat as well. Appreciate everybody that's been in here today. Also, thank you for that, man. Flawless hair. I appreciate that. Thank you, Shane Sons. Appreciate you as always. And as we wrap up here, quickly want to get your thoughts because now we actually got to see them. It was the City Connect jerseys on Saturday. What did you think seeing them on the actual players?
I really liked them. I did. I love the helmets. I love the helmets. I loved everything about them. I was really happy with those City. When they were first leaked, I'm like, these are sort of trash. And then when I saw them on the field, I was like, damn, these are kind of smooth, man. But you know me, and if it was up to me, they'd wear a different uniform every day. I love the different uniforms. I love the different concepts and different ways you could go with it, man. So, but to me, I love the hats. I love the little purple. I was going to actually wear a purple blazer today, but I decided not to. But maybe the next time they wear the City Connects, I'm going to whip out the purple blazer with the Mets logo. But yeah, I liked them a lot. I really did.
They're going to wear them every Saturday. And apparently, they're also wearing them tonight. I saw because they posted the lineup with them. It's anytime a player wants them. So Luis Severino wanted them for his matchup tonight. They're going to wear them. They're going to wear the City Connects out there again tonight.
Wow. Yeah, I was talking to a Yankee fan over the weekend. I'm like, how come you guys didn't do a City Connect? And he's like, we're too good to do that. I'm like, fuck you. He was pissing me off, but that's a whole other story.
Shea,
I love it.
Shea parking lot saying about the T-shirts. They have the Subway token. So right now I got the hat and I got the bomber jacket, which I think is way cooler than the jersey. Although I ordered one, still waiting for it until May 9th. I was told that I have to get my jersey, but they have the jacket.
Did you order?
I got the regular replica jersey because there's like a elite version of the same jersey, no name on it,
no name,
patching, $500. No way I'm ever paying $500 for a jersey that has absolutely no name on it.
That's crazy.
It's because of the swoosh, man. The Nike swoosh. That's what it's all about. And actually, Nike just got hit today because the jerseys are going to kind of go back to what they were last year with the names being a lot bigger and the numbers. So, and I think also the material is going to change again too, because players are just sweating through it. I think the pants the colors of the pants were not the same as the shirt.
They were see-through pants, Anthony. This is what this Nike has given Major League Baseball. See-through pants and numbers that you have to whip out a pair of glasses or a magnifying glass to see the name on the back of the jersey, which to me is just, I mean, whoever gave that the green light should be totally fired in MLB. I don't understand how that got through. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen either, but the Mets have not worn their blue or black jerseys, which the new black jerseys without the white lettering, they haven't worn them because they haven't gotten their pants yet.
Oh, my God.
Like, what are we doing? Nike, what are we doing? Fanatics, what's happening here?
It's all Nike, man. It's all Nike. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. But I do like the City Connect jerseys, as much as that, but that's crazy. $500 for a jersey. That's insane.
Yeah, I think we're in the same boat that the one jersey that I would bring back is that 9/11 New York in white jersey. I'm like on the lookout for that. Like, I don't know if I got to go on eBay or what. They only sold it for, I don't know, charity or auction. But man, that jersey was so fresh, so clean. Like, I was never a big fan of the white jerseys, the plain whites.
Snow White.
Yeah, the Snow Whites. But if you're doing that with the New York, I would buy one of those in a heartbeat.
Oh my goodness, they're one of my favorite jerseys. I'd whip those into the rotation right off the rip, man. If it was up to me, I'd put them right into that rotation. I don't know, give me the Sunday whiteout, and that's what we'll call it, wear them every Sunday, something like that, man. I'd put those things right into the rotation. And for the hat, I'd do a blue bill and I'd put the black hat in the, like that. That's how I do it, like late 90s style.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I missed that hat as well. That's why when they were bringing the black jerseys back, I was surprised that they did not have the blue bill, especially with the new jerseys. Like, I think they're going to switch that eventually. Like right now, what they're supposed to have is obviously the black and the orange jersey. But the hat is all black. I think eventually they'll change that and put the blue bill. I think it'll just stand out a little more.
Yeah, no, definitely. Again, they'll keep switching this thing up, but if you're bringing those 9/11 jerseys back, that's the way to go with it. Put the blue bill, black hat, and perfect.
Absolutely. Well, Eddie, this has been a lot of fun. I know you got to get going.
Yep.
I appreciate you and your time coming on here and doing this with me. I know I got reached out to you a little bit last minute yesterday, but this helps out a lot. My voice was shot yesterday, so appreciate you coming on and doing this with me. There'll be more times we'll be reaching out to you and having you, and then we'll do one without too. We'll do all three of us. So hit up anything that you want. Obviously, your Twitter handle at Eddie Presti _ I got that right, correct? All right. Check Eddie out on the Knicks Morning Brew. When's the next one coming up?
It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. So
make sure you're checking them out because the Knicks are hopefully ending this in 5 games. So you have that. You have the Mets Evening Brew every Thursday at 9. Subway to Shea. You can check out the podcast at some point this week, as well as every series preview. I'll probably do one Thursday for the Tampa series, but make sure you're hitting the like. Make sure you're subscribing to the channels. And I can't thank you guys all enough. As always, we end it with a let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets, baby. Yeah.